Ladies and gentlemen, it has begun. There was what they're calling terrorist attack in Palm Springs, Florida, car bomb that went off, devastating. I think I saw at least a block worth of damage. I guess it was so violent that it shattered windows for at least a block. And this was done in front of a fertility clinic. So presumably that was the target, but obviously this is a new story, so we'll see what the evidence shows. But this is exactly what I warned you guys of. Now, unlike people who are doing this for money and attention, I'm not going to go ahead and presume that this has anything whatsoever to do with Trump. So this one could be a coincidence. But I did say I am expecting that we're going to see a rise in terrorism in this country. We're going to see a rise in certain violent crimes at an extreme level. So talking about extremists. And that's a direct result of the destruction that Trump and his administration has done to our government. All of the incompetence of the people he's put at the very top. I mean, just look at the Signal Gate situation. I mean, it's total amateur hour. And Donald Trump had a choice of picking loyal people who are competent, but instead he chose people that are not confident but more loyal, right? So he wanted basically sycophants that would just do whatever he says, and he prioritized that over experience, over skill, over competence. And it's just, you just can't run a country where your leaders are incompetent. Now, some would argue, well, people under Biden were incompetent. Listen, man, I'm not a Biden fan. I'm not a Democrat, never was a Democrat, probably never will be a Democrat. But this level of incompetence is uniquely Trump, right? I mean, the kind of stuff that they were doing with the Signal chat, I mean, that is amateur hour. A basic level person in the military, I mean, someone with low rank person knows that what they did, that's not how you do it. How are you going to have the senior level people violating those protocols in that way? And then they continue to do it, as I also predicted as well. So when you start firing people haphazardly, FBI agents, federal workers, and you have a drug addict like Elon Musk having so much power, and you see the goofball thing he's doing, hiring those kids. One of the kids already violated security from a previous employer, and yet they kept him on. I mean, when you see that level of extreme incompetence, I mean, I think a typical banana republic probably is not even at this level of incompetence. When you see that, there's a price. Like the idea that you can just go around randomly firing people, federal workers, and shutting down so many parts of the government and it's not going to matter is absurd. Obviously, there's terrorists that are going to escape, that are going to slip by. There are hackers that are going to be able to get into our system. So I already told you guys, there's going to be more of these types of things, more potential of terrorism, terrorist attacks, more security breaches where foreign countries get access to our computer systems, much more so than in the past. And our lives are going to be put in danger as a result of Donald Trump, which is why I've said for years, Donald Trump represents a massive national security threat. I say that as a veteran. He is, in fact, a major national security threat. And I want to again clarify, we don't know if this attack has anything to do with Trump. I'm just using this situation to highlight that this kind of thing is what you're going to see rising in our country. We see extremists getting emboldened. We see white nationalist groups celebrating, even though they're not, they disown Trump, right? But they celebrate his actions, they celebrate his rhetoric, they celebrate what he's doing, and their numbers explode when he is in charge. There can't be no consequence of this. When you see extremists getting emboldened and celebrating, and their numbers growing, and you see the lawlessness coming from the very top in our government, and they're releasing terrorists that attacked our capital, and then you have half the country playing games and like, oh, political prisoners and this, and there were no due process. Listen, man, we ain't seen nothing yet. Fortunately, we haven't seen anything really bad in this country in terms of terrorist attacks and things like that compared to the past. But I unfortunately believe we are headed in a direction where we're going to again see a rise in those types of things, car bombs, and other such things. There's no way around it, man. Whatever you believe about the FBI and these federal agencies, whether you like them or hate them, they have been serving a purpose. Whatever you believe about 9/11 was a big attack. And since then, we haven't seen anything close to that here. That's not by accident. A lot of countries hate us, right? And I want you to also recognize that if in fact what I'm predicting comes true, and that will be multiple incidents, a lot of lone wolves and things like that, some stuff might be coordinated, we'll see. When these things happen, I can guarantee you, they're going to be hand waved away as this is all because of Biden let these people in. We've been warning you about terrorists coming into the border, and that's where they come in. And then we'll investigate and see that they didn't come in through the border, that they flew in or whatever it is. But that's not going to change the rhetoric, right? That's going to be a whisper. The loud noise is going to be, oh, it's Biden and it's the border. right? There's no level of accountability. No matter the destruction that happens as a result of Trump, there's always going to be an excuse. There's always going to be a deflection. There's always going to be some kind of a, trick played, right? Loud noises about Biden and the terrorists in the border. And then when, claims are made that some guy that did some bombing came in through the border, right? That'll be loudly spoken all over the place. Every right one will be saying, yeah, and this, and it's because of Biden. And then we find out that that's not how they came in. You're not going to hear them saying, oh, actually, we were wrong about that. No. You're going to hear people after we find that out still saying it's because of Biden, right? Yeah, we acknowledge there's been some more attacks, but that's what happens when you have the border, Pastor Jordan. That's what happens when you have an open border. You let everybody in. It's bound to happen that you're going to have terrorism happening in the country. Now, the reason why the terrorism wouldn't happen when Biden's president and it happens when Trump is president, I don't have an explanation for that, but we know that these people are coming in through the border. Even though the evidence shows that they didn't come in through the border, I'm going to pretend as if they came in through the border because I'm going to get more clips doing it that way. That is the essence of American media. Toxic. This is Baby Channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. I'm sorry to say, man, you guys didn't see nothing yet. There's much more to come from so many different angles. There just has to be massive consequences of the Trump administration's incompetence. It's not a thing that you could just put anybody in power and it just doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter whether they're competent or not. No, it does matter, and we all gonna see it. Unfortunately, half of us will recognize it, and the other half will fall for the government propaganda lies about how, oh, it's Biden, everything's Biden.